We have a rule in our house, and I'm not sure they've been fans of the rule.
Mm-hmm.
But the rule is you don't date till you're out of high school. Now, I don't want to discuss this as a prescription for every parent, just
Right.
as a factual thing. This is the rule that we established in our house. So let's talk a little bit about maybe why we took that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a position we took. We told our daughters, you may not go out on dates. You may not date until after you graduate from high school. And it's funny, the day after Natalie's high school graduation, a boy picked her up for breakfast. So, I mean, she followed it in a way. She followed it, but I mean, I have to say, we are not perfect parents. Our children are very real children, and in principle, they know that rule exists. Does it mean that they haven't formed attachments during their high school years? Does it mean that they haven't spent time with boys on campus, at school, even though they weren't allowed to go out on a date? Of course, it doesn't mean that. They did do that. So I just want to be very honest and very real with our listeners. But the rationale for that rule was good. And it was this. It was that they're young and they are still learning who they are. And they are not really, in our opinion, they were not ready to make a permanent commitment to someone. And that's really what dating's all about. It's about getting to know people in order to find that one person that you are going to make a lifetime commitment to. And we just felt that we have one who's still in that category, so she is not, and Natalie was not ready at that stage of life. So we discouraged dating at that phase.
Well, here's the way that I've been thinking about this. Really, what is the purpose of dating? The purpose of dating is to find a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And, someone will disagree with that. No, it's to have fun. I don't know, because human attachments begin to form just in the innocent conversations that happen in a restaurant, say, and you start making eye contact, you develop feelings, and you need to be ready for the potential for a lifetime commitment with that person. You are not at that phase of life when you are still in high school. I don't believe so. And again, I'm not trying to be prescriptive for other parents. And I understand that back in the 1800s, everybody knew who their spouse was going to be by 15 or 16. But then again, they were ready to start real life by 18, right? Mm-hmm. And get a job on the farm or whatever it was. I don't know that you're emotionally ready in high school. You're not looking for a spouse. So why would you get into a situation where you may form deeper attachments? It's easier to get into a relationship than out of it. And there's a lot of heartbreak because there's a lot of short-term relationships when you're when you're young. So you get emotionally attached to somebody. You weren't looking for a spouse. Why would you put yourself in that situation? I also, to be really blunt, temptation is strong when you're young. Right? Yeah. The hormones are coursing through your veins. And I say that as a half-century-old male. But when you are 18 and male, let's just be really honest about it. Your hormones have a way of driving your decisions and sometimes overriding your logic. And so, Paul actually says in 1 Corinthians 7, when a couple is together and they're burning with desire for each other. That's what he actually says. It is better, he says, to get married than to burn with temptation. So temptation is real. Let's be honest about it. Sexual temptation is real for young people in particular. So why would you put yourself in a situation when puberty hits younger nowadays? Girls in particular, I understand, are hitting puberty younger, 2 or 3 years younger. Men are too. And we're getting married later. So it's no longer a 5-year window where you're looking for a spouse and getting married. Sometimes it's a 15-year window. How well are you going to handle temptation when you're being driven by testosterone? Let's be honest about it. So when you're in the phase where you're looking for a spouse, that's when you should start dating. It's not just for fun. People's emotions and emotional attachments are not entertainment. Anyway, that's maybe the male hunter mentality. I don't know.
Yeah, and we adopted this rule for our daughters to not go out on dates in high school, just because we believed, based on what you and I have both just shared, that it was in their best interest to protect their hearts and protect them
Right, that's
for
a good
when
way of
they
putting it.
were mature enough to be able to make these kind of decisions that would affect them in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have this sort of in the back of my mind. I think when you're in high school, you probably have bigger priorities. I said you're not looking for a spouse, but I think you probably have bigger, more urgent priorities. It's much harder later in life to go back to college. Once you've started a family, I think you should get your career and your life together before you consider marriage and family, or at least know what that map looks like. And that's probably a bigger priority when you're 17 in high school than finding a spouse is.